Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the first annual Unreal Awards by Trade Pending, because the stories coming out of the automotive industry are just absolutely unreal. It's amazing. It's crazy. Alex, let's go over to the next slide here. So you've got me, Matthew Davis here, Chief Marketing Officer at Trade Pending. I am actually in a physical Trade Pending office today, not our world headquarters in Carrboro. I'm in the Richmond office where our support team lives. And Alex, you're in the virtual office.
I am in the virtual office today. It's very lonely, as you can see over my shoulder.
All right, let's get to the show. There's too much fun here to be had today. As we always do, we are recording this. We will sharing it out. We will be sharing it out. And if you have questions, I'm not sure what kind of questions you have, but feel free to chat in if you got something you want to say. You know how to do it. It's in the Zoom panel. Let's move on here. Oh, in case you missed it, big news. We announced that today we acquired Fixed Ops Digital. Congratulations, Fixed Ops Digital. You guys have absolutely built a great company. If you guys don't know what they do, service specials management. It's a really elegant and simple plugin for dealers' websites. It just makes it really easy to synchronize and standardize the offers coming out of your service department. We'll leave it at that. We're not selling today. We're here to get unreal. All right, next up, what do we got? If you haven't seen enough of my face, there's more of it to be found on social media. We've got two types of content. We have best practices. That's the Trade Pending TV stuff. That's kind of our thoughts on the industry. And if you just want to have a good time, tune in to the man on the street, the man in the dealership interviews. Next slide. And there I am again. Holy crap, this is all my face. I'm so sorry, everybody. We are giving away a chainsaw at Digital Dealer. If you are there, you can't miss us. We're right by the expo hall. Sign up for it. We'll show you a sharp saw and some sharp products.
All right, and getting on to the judging criteria. Matthew, tell us how we're going to judge this.
Yeah, 100% subjective. There were
Yeah.
we just read them and we laughed, we cried. I've got my tissues here ready to go if we get a little teary-eyed. But that's it. But over to the categories. Alex, take it away.
So there were three categories that we told you guys about. The first is, wow, I really shouldn't have said something like that. And then we also had our craziest trade-in story. And then we also had the craziest test drive.
And one of the stories is almost like Dukes of Hazzard. I think that was what gets our one of our honorable mentions. We'll get to that in a second. And
We will
yes,
absolutely.
this is one of the trophies that people will be receiving for winning. There are three winners here today. They get this trophy and a $250 Amazon gift card. Let's go.
Bonus points. It's Prime Day, so it goes even further.
You gotta go fast. All right, so we had some common themes here through these stories. And so I'll share one of the first ones here. Wildlife. This comes from Shelby at Fernelius Toyota. Up in northern Michigan, hunting and fishing outdoors, a big part of life up there. And they had a customer show up looking for a new Toyota RAV4. They had a Hyundai Santa Fe to trade in. So they hop in the car to get to do the test drive, or excuse me, to do the appraisal, pop the rear door there, the rear latch, I can't remember what it's called here. The trunk, pop the trunk, thank you. Dead deer in the back.
Ugh, too much. Next, we have horrible cards, and you guys had a bunch of them. So we're not going to go into all of them, but one of the ones that I will talk about is Janet Funder at Meyer Motors. They had a car that could physically not go in reverse. This was after they got the trade already done. So they had it parked up, beautiful, was sitting there. But because it couldn't go in reverse and it couldn't be rolled backwards, they had to push it up over a curb through their dealership floor just to get it turned around.
And on the next slide, don't go to it yet, but we actually have a link to the TikTok of them trying to do that. Not safe for
Yeah.
work, at least due to the soundtrack, but a great time nonetheless. Another wildlife story I'll go back to real quick because snakes, wildlife, kind of the same thing. Tracy at McKinnon Nissan found a miniature horse, a live miniature horse in the back of a Nissan Rogue. What the hell? It's unreal. All right, so snakes. Snakes, mice, pretty common in cars. And
Surprise, honestly.
yeah, it's bonkers. So Nick at Cascade Auto Group sent this one in. I'm going to paraphrase, and we got to be fair. For most of these, we're not doing them justice. The submissions were fantastic. They were well written. They were thought out. They got to trade in. Huge Suburban. One snake wriggles out on the floor in the service lane there. Within an hour, hundreds of snakes had wiggled out of this car.
No,
Awesome.
thank you. Not at all. And then moving right along, like I said, we've got this video. You can check it out later. This is a live link. So when you get this email tomorrow, just hit it. It's hilarious. And it's just watching them. And I mean,
Trying to move a car in reverse that won't go in reverse, no matter, even if you put it in neutral. How does that work?
Serious transmission trouble. That's how that works.
Wow.
So the craziest trade-in winner, we got Dan Vinci. Congratulations, you get that beautiful trophy from Tom Roush Mazda Mitsubishi. Now, what really drew us to the story, I'll just go about reading it, is they had a guy come in and he said, oh, I want a Lincoln Town Car, and I have a horse to trade.
Like, was that metaphorically or no, figuratively, right? No.
Yeah, no. Got an actual horse. Sales guy goes out, sees, or he says, no, I've got a physical horse. Oh, okay, well, I got to take this to my manager. Goes to the manager. Manager says, oh, you mean like a Ford Mustang, like an actual car? No, like a horse, like an actual real horse. This guy traded a horse, successfully traded a horse for a Lincoln Town Car. How do you value that trade?
Right. And what I love about this story too is that the GM was calling local farmers and barns to get somebody to essentially bid on the horse, and they did. And when they saw the horse, they said, no, thanks, not as described. It took them 5 months to get rid of this horse. And I think Dan really wrapped this up nicely. I think it's like, don't engage in horse trading.
Never look at trade.
So then if we're going to go here with the runner-up, also worth a mention here.
Yeah, Matthew, I'll take this one. So this comes out of Sheboygan. This is, to me, it's just a feel-good story. So late end of the day, sales guys see a crappy old car just kind of pulling up, and it's got rust, it's got tape over the back window. Nobody wants to touch it. Nobody wants to touch these things. Turns out the people that have and are driving this car, they're trading it in because they saved all of their money to pay off their student loans, and now they're ready to put 30 grand down cash for a brand new car. But it gets better because they were treated so well. They actually ended up referring 5, 6, even to today, different car deals to this dealership, and that just goes to show, like, do not, every customer is worth a conversation. It's just a really good feel-good story on that one. Yeah, that was fantastic.
And now we say that, and then we're basically going to say that, yeah, some people are crazy though, but I think we all know that to begin with. And it's a common theme that, you can go to the next slide, Alex. Being in automotive is very much a people business. You got to love people, everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and sometimes the just nutty, right? So this is now moving on to the category of craziest test drive. And one of the common themes here was just some people are just nutty. So Joseph from North Point Automotive sent this submission in where he's riding with the passenger. And again, I'm going to paraphrase Joseph. Forgive me. The passenger reveals that he is going to buy for this car that he is test driving by winning the lottery, and not just winning the lottery at some point in time, but specifically tonight. So he has been communicated with somehow spiritually that he is going to be winning the lottery. And so after the ride, he gets out, says to Joseph, I love you. Joseph is stunned, replied, doesn't know what to say, so he said, I love you back. Spoiler alert, the fellow did not win the lottery. He did not buy the car.
It's a shame. Another honorable mention that we have here is from Justin Weldon at Central Kia Plano. First days on the job, he leaves his phone. He forgets to grab a copy of the person's license who he's taken out on a test drive. Turns out this guy is driving like a maniac. Cops had to pull over the car, and turns out the person maybe wasn't all there. By the way, also currently on drugs.
Yeah, it's a wild world out there. Be careful. All right. The second topic, we're going to hop over here to mechanical issues, but that's actually our winner. So we're going to come back to that in a second. But there was definitely a lot of crime and punishment themes, no surprising to the audience here. Just a ton of people attempting to steal or kind of stealing or totally stealing cars on test drive. So this one is from Nick Corlett. They had some folks come in wanting to test drive a truck. After an hour, they hadn't shown back up. And so he goes to the address on the license, and there they are in the driveway unloading a load of mulch. Okay, that's creative, but wow, not appropriate. Alex,
No.
what do you got?
So Bailey Massey at Pinger Honda, there was a 9 a.m. to a 10 p.m. test drive from someone who later be discovered to have a history of grand theft. And
13 hours.
yeah, I mean that's a pretty long time. You can log some miles on that. Unfortunately, the car had been smoked in all day long.
All right, next up, Chance Kim CDJR. This was a good one. So if you've ever seen the movie Friday, there's a point in the movie where Debo comes up and says, "That's my bike." Well, this basically happened to Chance. So he's out on a test drive. The pilot says, "Hey, I want to take this car to see my friends." And he's like, "No, we need to get back to the dealership." And the guy basically just looks at him and says, "Keep your hands where they are. This is my car now." Gets dropped off, calls the police. 10 cops have to go arrest this fella at gunpoint. And then he keeps showing up every couple of weeks back to the dealership. That's a little frightening. And then eventually he gets picked up for something even worse than that and has not shown up since. Alex, bring us home on crime and punishment. That sounds like
So we have,
right there. Alex, what do you got for?
well, I have Jason Dirt from Western Honda. This is a power sports guy. So there was a man, he rides up on a very clean looking CB 1100 and he parks in line with the rest of the bikes. And he asks how much it is. And then he tosses Jason the keys. Jason's confused, obviously. He'd basically stolen the bike, gotten away with it, and decided to bring it on back.
Unreal.
So
Right.
to bring us home on the craziest test drives,
Yeah, yeah, I'll take it here. So Denny from Saturn of Columbia had the general manager of the Sam's Club right next door, the big, retailer that wants to come by and do a test drive on a new Saturn Relay, the minivan there. So really wants to make a good impression. They load up the whole family into this minivan. They are going down the interstate at 70 miles an hour. Passenger door or that sliding door just slides open. Denny goes, he's in full panic mode, hitting all the buttons, trying to get this thing to close. Parents are freaking out, alarms going off. Get to the side of the road and close the door. Like, maybe you bump something, maybe we hit a button, we don't know. So they go down the road. Half a mile later, where the 6-year-old is sitting, the freaking door opens up again, slides open. Everybody's freaking out. Poor Denny here. It's not your fault, Denny, but getting screamed at by the parents, like he's the one who actually built the van. Denny, thank you for writing this up. I am paraphrasing your story. So instead of being on the road, they make him drive the car back on the back roads. They storm out. And unfortunately, they never really did any business any further with anybody from the Sam's Club nearby. Holy cow. Well done, Denny. You win for craziest test drive. And the runner-up is pretty darn good too. Alex, tell us what we got.
Oh, sorry, no, that was it, wasn't it? Oh no, I apologize. So Thunder Chrysler in 2016. Apologize.
Oh, I got you then here.
Actually,
I got it ready to go. All right.
Yep, thank you.
Eric, thank you for this story. It's amazing. Trying to build a whole new social media presence. Eric has the great idea, brilliant, genius, ingenious, some might say, to create a fake news story about a Hellcat test drive. So just stating on there explicitly already, it's a prank, thinking no one would catch on to it. But instead, the news media found it. Online news, social media went nuts. Everybody is thinking that this is a real story. It's blowing up. The phone won't stop ringing. Somebody from as far away as Puerto Rico calls. And unfortunately, Eric's GM made him take it down, do all the phone calls. I can kind of understand why. Maybe it's not because he didn't have a sense of humor, but
It probably boosted
one of,
their
one of
SEO
the-
traffic.
Yeah, right. And so what Eric says that one of the funniest parts here is that the owner at the time was retired Florida Highway Patrol, and Eric himself a former deputy. So I mean they're familiar with law enforcement and how this stuff works here. And we have shared that link to the original story that they posted in the article there, so you guys can check it out when you get the deck. Unreal. Thank you for sharing that one, Eric. You're up, Alex.
All right, so this
Next
is
category.
the next category, things I shouldn't have said. Here's some of the common themes. Being honest. Here's one we got from Alexander Hubler Ford, a good friend of Trade Pending. Basically, I'm just gonna read what Alexander wrote. No, ma'am, it wasn't.
Go with it straight, buddy.
Yeah, no, ma'am, it was not owned by a little old lady who only drove it on church on Sundays. It was owned by a pimp and a bookie on the east side who buys a new one every 9 months or so to quote to keep them guessing. And anything you find in this car, I guess you can keep because they haven't cleaned it yet. But he takes good care of his cars, though, right? Yeah, yeah. That's maybe a little bit too truthful on that there.
All right.
Another.
I'll
Go
take the
ahead.
next one there for being honest there. All right. So from Thomas Richards Honda, they had a very unique and specific car that was really only available within 600 miles. They had a customer calling that was 670 miles away, and the customer just kept beating on him and pounding on him and pounding on it, really trying to work the deal over the phone. And Thomas has no idea about the trade, about what kind of they can qualify for. And he finally just says, look, hey, you either got to travel 620 miles to come see this car, or your wife is going to have to buy a different car. This car was for his wife. Your wife's going to have to buy a different car, and she could be unhappy with it for 72 months. So just like, straight up honest with him. They came in and bought the car.
The next subcategory is foot and mouth. And this one should never be said, but this one comes from Curtis at Night Automotive. Sir, can you please ask your wife to calm down?
Woo.
No, don't even. At no point was that a good idea.
But Curtis, if there was a category for shortest answer that was the best, you would win that. Congrats on that one. All right, so the next one up, definitely an insert foot and mouth moment, comes from Bailey Massey. Had a young couple coming in. They had two trades. One was in their name, one was in the mom's name, and he was Bailey was looking over the title and noticed that the son was also listed on the other one, and he asked if the mother had passed away, and they said yes. And Bailey, not thinking, said, well, perfect. Not thinking about the fact that they had just lost their mother. And as Bailey writes, like, that is not the type of person that Bailey is. It just slipped out of their mouth. And we feel for you, but that's the whole point of the category, things I shouldn't have said. All right, and calling your bluff, I think, Alex, why don't you take that one? That's actually our award winner.
Yes, Dan Bethia from Jimmy Britt CDJR in Statesboro. So I'm sorry, Matthew, can you read that real quick?
I got you, man. I'm
Sorry
ready.
about that.
So Down's working with an elderly gentleman who comes in and says that he's getting ready to present him numbers, and he cuts him off and says, you're going to give me your best numbers. He responds, sir, these are the best numbers. To which the fella reaches out and pulls out a gun and says, you are going to give me my best numbers. Let's let that sink in for a second. He pulls a gun on him.
In the dealership.
So Down says, like, he was going to test his luck. He starts laughing and said, sir, this is Georgia. We all have guns. And these are the best numbers. My hat's off to you for that response there. Finally, the old man started smiling, and he realized that they were just messing around. So he snapped a picture of them, both, with the gun in the hand. And yes, you should send us that picture. We would love to see that. And he did end up buying the vehicle. called his bluff. Holy cow. And you know what? I'll bring it on home here with the honorable mention here. Coming from Joseph here. So this was a time in the world when there was a pandemic and just everything was crazy and weird. And somebody was coming in and talking about nanobots in the bloodstream. We're just going to leave it at that, man. It was a rough time. Let's be glad that we were all through with that. But we wanted to give you a shout out, Joseph, for that story because it was a dang good one. We very much appreciate it. All right.
And finally, just want to say congratulations to all of our winners today. You will be receiving this trophy along with $250 of Amazon bucks. But personally, I just want to say we had a ton of fun reading these stories. It was, really good for us in our marketing chatter every morning, coming up with listening to the newest and craziest ones that came in. Matthew.
Yeah. Congrats again. And maybe we'll do this in person in ADA 2025. We ain't got time for 2024. That's like
right around the corner.
That's right around the corner for us people. Thanks again, Alex. Bring us home with the last slide there, the last couple there. We're all winners here. If you want to win your very own trade pending mascot, the Wobbly Bird, you dunk its head, it drinks water forever, as seen in such famous TV shows as Ted Lasso, hit up that URL. We will send you one for free. That's it. It's not a golden trophy. There's our contact information, everybody. Thank you for joining today. We will see you next year at the Unreal Awards.